Hello everyone, my name is Keely. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome to another Summerween. This is probably my favorite readathon to do. I've done it 3 or 4 times at this point. If you haven't heard of it, this is a readathon that is created and hosted by Gabby from Gabby Reads, and it is just a great time to read spooky reads in the middle of the summer. So there are also a ton of prompts on Instagram and reading challenges that go with this. However, I'm not really following the prompts because I am just trying to read as many of my own physical TBR books as I can that are thriller and horror. So my main goal for this week is to read 7 books in 7 days. Now this is a challenge that I have done several times before in the past, but I don't know if I've done it very recently. So I have a stack of 7 physical books that I own that are thriller and horror that I'm hoping to get through this week. So the first book I have in my stack is My Sister the Serial Killer by Khan Braithwaite, and this one is a very short and tiny cute book, and it's all about a woman whose sister is a serial killer. And I don't know why it's so tiny, but I just picked this up at Half Price Books. I've been wanting to read it for years, and I saw it there and I was like, you're coming home with me, and it is so cute, and I'm hoping that I love it and that it is thrilling and fast-paced. Next, I have Cujo by Stephen King. This is, I think, the biggest book I have on this list, or one of the top 2 biggest books. I am currently reading Stephen King's works in publication order, so this is the next one I have up. All I know is that it is about a killer dog. Honestly, this is probably the book I am most worried about getting through this week because Stephen King could be a big hit or a big miss for me, and sometimes his writing might be slower, sometimes it's faster, so I'm not sure what I'm going to get with this, but I have heard good things about Cujo in general, so I'm hoping this one reads quick as well. Next, I have another recent purchase, and that is Falling by TJ Newman. This one I feel like will read very fast. This is an airplane thriller, and I'm pretty sure what happens is these men kind of hijack the plane. They go up to the pilot and says, you have to crash the plane, we have your family. Like something along those lines. So I know it's going to be incredibly like heart-pounding and really fast and thrilling. Next, I have The Locked Door by Freida McFadden. I have never read Freida McFadden before, but I have heard fantastic things about most of her books, and that she is almost unputdownable, and that her books read really fast because they're just fun popcorn reads. So this is the one that I have chosen to pick up first. It is also a shorter one of hers, so hopefully I fly through it, and hopefully I love Freida McFadden and I can pick up more of her books. Next, I have A Faint Cold Fear by Karen Slaughter. This is book 3 in the Grant County series, and this one's also pretty short, and I looked everywhere for this one, and it was so hard for me to find, but again, I found it at Half Price Books, and so I'm really excited to pick it up. This is a very dark detective series, and the way the second one ended is going into some extremely dark territory, and I love dark, gritty, gruesome thrillers, and this is definitely that, so I'm really excited to continue with this series. Next, I have Home is Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose. This cover is stunning with the sprayed edges. I absolutely love it. I've read 1 book by Geneva Rose so far, and I was obsessed with it. I still think about it to this day, and it's been months since I read it, and I read that one in like 1 sitting, so I'm hoping this one is no different. And the last book I have on this list is Murder Road by Simone St. James. This is also the other biggest book I have on this list. I've read 1 book from this author before, and I really enjoyed it, and I really read it quickly, so I'm hoping this one reads quickly as well. Although I haven't heard the best things about this one compared to her other books, but this is like the most stunning book that I own, so I'm hoping the inside is just as beautiful. So normally when I try to do the 7 books in 7 days challenge, I start with the longest book to get it off my list, but I'm gonna do something a little different, and hopefully it doesn't come back to bite me, and I'm gonna start with the shortest book, which is My Sister the Serial Killer. This has 223 pages, so I'm hoping that'll be nice to get it checked off my list and get through it quickly, so it seems like I'm getting through these books fast. Like I said, normally I start with the longest, so it feels good to get that off, but I'm gonna try something different this week and start with this one. I am so excited to be participating in Summerween again. Let me know if you participated in this readathon as well. Also, if you vlogged it, I would love to watch your vlog, but happy Summerween, and let's get to reading. So I have started My Sister the Serial Killer this morning, and I am already halfway through. I'm on page 112. I mean, halfway through. It's a small book, so it doesn't take that long, but it's only like 9:15 a.m. and I am flying through this. It is so easy to read. So I am literally on track to finish my first book of Summerween before noon on the first day, which is just great. So let me give you a synopsis. We follow this woman named Caridi, who, her sister, is obviously a serial killer. Now, Caridi is the older sister, so she feels very responsible in protecting her younger sister, and it just so happens that every boyfriend her sister gets ends up dead because she kills them. So her sister has just killed her third boyfriend, and Caridi knows all about cleaning and disposing of nasty things, so she goes and helps clean it up, but her sister is unbearable. She is arrogant, she is entitled, she is spoiled, and everyone loves her. Everyone's like, oh, she's so beautiful. Even the mom is like, oh, she could do no wrong. And we are just inside Caridi's head the whole time. As she's getting angrier and angrier and more frustrated, you are also getting angrier and more frustrated. Like, I feel so angry right now. I'm just like, Caridi, you could end your sister right now. I don't care if she's your sister. She is horrible. Because the other thing is, Caridi is really in love with the doctor she works with, and of course Caridi's sister comes in and swoops up this doctor and starts dating him, and I'm just like, Caridi, I don't care if she's your sister, she's a serial killer, and she just crossed a line dating the guy that you like, and she knows. Like, just end her already. I am team Caridi till the end, and I don't know how this is gonna play out, and if there's gonna be more kills, or if Caridi's sister is gonna finally get what's coming to her, because I really hope she does. But like I said, I have halfway more to go, so I should be finishing it within the next hour or two, and I am enjoying it, but it's also angering me, and so I'm a little worried about that because I hate feeling angry when reading books, but I really enjoy the writing. It is very easy to go through, and this is also set in Nigeria, and the author is also from Nigeria, so it's a really cool setting because the police work and police department is very different than what I am used to, and it's just interesting overall, and it's just so tiny and cute, and I love it. But I am having a good time, but also an angry time, so hopefully I really end up enjoying it, and Caridi's sister just gets what is coming to her. So it is 10:40 a.m. and I have already finished my first book of Summerween, 223 pages, and boy did my enjoyment take a turn. So I was hoping the ending would go a certain way, and it went completely off the rails from what I was hoping for, and it made me even more angry. And I told you, when a book makes me angry, I tend to hate it, and my anger just built throughout the story. I really like Caridi as a character, but towards the end I started thinking, like, what are you doing, girl? Like, what are you actually doing? And so this book quickly went from a 4-star to a 2-star. I thought about giving it a 1-star, but I was enjoying it so much until the ending, and so I'm giving it a 2-star for that reason. I would be interested in reading more from this author. I could honestly see how people would like this. This is kind of a good for her story, and I don't know if those tend to be my favorite, especially when characters do things that I think they should be doing the opposite. But 2 stars for my first read, not great, but my reading speed is going great, so I need to figure out what I'm gonna pick up next. So I think I want to pick up another short book for today, so I'm gonna go with my very first Freida McFadden ever, and that is The Locked Door. I'm not really sure what this one's about. I think it might be another serial killer book, which I love the theme we have here. My mom actually read this one last week, so she passed on this copy to me, and she really enjoyed this one, and she read it very quickly. So I'm hoping this is another quick read. I've heard Freida McFadden reads very quick, so I have no doubt that I will probably get through this pretty quickly. I think I'm gonna take a little bit of a break in between these 2 books so I can, like, let the feelings of one book marinate for a little bit, and then I will be picking this one up pretty soon, and we'll see how much progress I can get through on book number 2 for day number 1. Alright, I am officially 100 pages in to The Locked Door, and in this story we follow a woman named Nora Davis who is a surgeon, and 26 years ago when she was 11 years old, her father was arrested and convicted as a serial killer. Now, 26 years later, one day when she is working at the doctor's office, the police come in and tell her one of her patients was murdered in the same way that her dad murdered his victims. So they're kind of suspicious of her, kind of questioning her what's going on, and also we as a whole don't really know what's going on with Nora. She's a little suspicious, a little weird, and we also do get scenes from 26 years ago when she was 11, and she doesn't seem like a normal 11-year-old. So it feels like Nora also has secrets, and we're wondering, okay, is she like her dad, or is she hiding something completely different? And also, who is now murdering these women out there in the similar way that her dad did? So it's very curious, very interesting, super fast read like I anticipated, and I just have a lot of questions because Nora, I don't trust you. You're a little weird, a little suspicious. But this book is actually slightly under 300 pages, so I could still make tons of progress today. It is about 2:30 p.m. I took a little break there to edit some of my vacation pictures, but I am laying down in my bed now. I'm gonna read some more, and I mean, I have the potential to finish, but I don't want to say that I'm gonna finish today, but the potential is there. Quick little update to tell you that I am now on page 192, which means I have exactly 100 pages left, and I am really enjoying this, and I still have no idea how or what is happening, and things are starting to really pick up and spin, and I'm getting like a little like anxious in a good way. You know, when you're reading like a thriller and you're like thrilled, that's the whole job of a thriller. So I am curious what's gonna happen in these last 100 pages, and I still don't know about Nora. Like, I'm still like, I feel so bad for her 1 second, and then the next second I'm like, Nora, that's not normal. So I don't know, we'll see if Nora's actually up to something or if she's just a little eccentric, but so far so good with my first Freida McFadden. I'm really pleased. Book number 2 of Summerween is done. Day 1, and I read 2 books, and I really ended up enjoying The Locked Door. I'm giving it 4 stars. It's just a really fun, fast-paced thriller, and I completely thought that I had guessed the reveal in the ending, and I didn't. So that's always fun when you think you know and you're like, oh, this is so obvious, and then you're proven wrong. Love that. So 4 stars total. I'm definitely looking forward to reading more from Freida McFadden. So with these 2 books read on day 1, I read 517 pages today. I'm off to a really great start, so now I need to think about what book I'm going to pick up tomorrow. So since I'm ahead of schedule, I think I'm going to pick up the most intimidating / one of the longest. So I'm going to start with Cujo by Stephen King tomorrow morning. It's only like 7:15 p.m., but I think I'm done reading for today. I'm going to take a break and probably watch some MasterChef or something. But tomorrow morning, as soon as I'm done running and like showering and everything, I'm going to pick this up and we'll see how far I get. I mean, this is like 420 pages or something like that, which is less than I read today. So it's definitely possible to read all of this tomorrow, but I just don't know if it's going to be fast or slow or weird to read or what's going to happen. But I'm excited to finally get to Cujo. I've never actually seen any of the movies or anything like that either, so maybe I'll do that at some point. But yes, tomorrow reading plans is just Cujo, and hopefully I enjoy it. It's officially day 2 of Summerween, and I started Cujo by Stephen King this morning, and I am now 100 pages in. And if you haven't heard of Cujo before, this is basically about a rabid dog, and it's a giant Saint Bernard, and on the back it says Cujo falls sick, very sick, and the gentle giant who once protected the family becomes a vortex of horror, inexorably drawing in all the people around him. And so I didn't know that it was about a rabid dog. I knew it was about a killer dog, but I just always assumed he was like possessed or like demonized or something, but no, he's rabid, which is really interesting. And now I'm like trying not to spend all my day researching rabies, because I'm one of those people that if I learn about something in a book, I just want to keep researching it. So 100 pages in, and I think I am making the executive decision to not try to binge read this. I think I'm going to read at least 100 pages each day, and in the meantime read another book in between, because I think if I try to binge read this book, I might lose my mind, because Stephen King's writing for most of his books is not the type where you can just sit down and read through in one day. There has been, I think, one of his books that I binge read in one sitting, but all the other ones, there's just so much information and so much rambling that it's hard to sit down and just read it through. Like right now, I'm like, why are you telling me about all these people? Like, where is the killing going on? And we do start to see Cujo slowly start losing it and developing this rabies where nobody has any idea what's going on, and we start seeing him get more and more vicious. But still, the backstories we're getting, I'm just like, Steven, why? Also, this book doesn't have chapters. There are no chapters in this 400 plus page book. No chapters. There's like some breaks every so often, but it's hard to stop because there are no chapters. So I'm gonna read 100 pages a day of this, so it should take me around 4 days to read it. I'm 100 pages in, and so now I've decided to pick up another book that I can actually sit down and binge. So the book I've decided to start in the meantime is Falling by TJ Newman. I believe I said in my intro this is like a plane thriller, and I believe this is like they're held captive on the plane, and the pilot is like, they tell him, you have to crash the plane, we're holding your family hostage. Something like that. When I start reading, I'll give you a better synopsis, but I feel like this one will go by really quickly and will be a fast read, and it's not very long as well. So I'm going to eat lunch in a little bit. It is almost noon, so I'll give it a little bit, and then I'll probably sit down and start reading Falling. Good morning. It is now day 3 of Summerween, and first and foremost, I need to update you about everything I read yesterday. So last we talked, I told you I was going to start Falling, and I made it to page 145, so exactly 50% of the way through, and I am flying through this. Pun intended. Yesterday I did not feel good. I was basically in bed all day because I felt so dizzy every time I tried to stand up. So I could have read more, but 145 pages, I'm not complaining. So my total read for yesterday was 245 pages, which is still great. And I think I'm still like slightly ahead of schedule. But this morning, it is about 8:50 in the morning, and I've already read about 40-50 pages of Falling. So now I am on page, what page am I on? I'm on page 187, so I have a little less than 100 pages left to go, and oh my goodness. So I need to give you a better synopsis, and what better synopsis than this little part back here? I hate reading off of books and I hate when people do it, but this is the only way I can describe this book. It says, you just boarded a flight to New York. There are 143 other passengers aboard. What you don't know is that 30 minutes before the flight, your pilot's family was kidnapped. For his family to live, everyone on your plane must die. The only way the family will survive is if the pilot follows his orders and crashes the plane. Enjoy the flight. And oh my gosh, TJ Newman was a flight attendant, so she knows the ins and outs of how the plane works. And if you don't know, I have been trying to become a flight attendant for the past 2 years. It is my dream right now, and I would really one day like to be a flight attendant. Unfortunately, nobody's hiring. But I get like the chills, the goosebumps, because I just can imagine being put into this position, and it's crazy. The flight attendants in here are heroes. They are amazing, and I've actually teared up several times in this just because of how brave and resilient everyone is being. It is incredible. It is so fast-paced. It is so interesting to read because you don't know which direction things are going to go in. You have no idea why things are happening, and once they're being explained, you're still just like, why? How are people this evil to do something like this? So I have church in about an hour and a half. I'm leaving in about an hour and a half. So I'm going to sit down and read as much of this as I can, and I'm probably, hopefully, going to finish before church. If not, this will be the first book I finish today, and then I will go on to reading my 100 pages of Cujo for today, and then I'll tell you what I'm starting next. But I am loving this right now. It is just so thrilling, so fast-paced. It is literally, I'm so invested. I'm just so invested. Like I said, I cried. Like, I cried reading this several times already, so I can't even imagine what it's going to be like at the end. And it could go any way at this point. I have no idea how it's going to end. So now I'm going to leave you, go sit down, and read as much as I can. I finished in the nick of time because I have 5 minutes before I leave, but I need to update you on my final thoughts because I absolutely loved this so much. Honestly, this book was pretty inspiring. I would get chills at certain points. I would literally cheer out loud and like pump my fist. I was so inspired by these characters, and I had tears like I told you multiple times. I forgot to tell you this morning when I first read the 40 pages of the day, I was reading on a stationary bike, and I biked the farthest I've ever biked because I was just like, go, go, go. We gotta like defeat the bad guys. We gotta make sure this plane doesn't crash. And I ended up biking 10 miles. So don't know how that happened. I was just like amped up, ready to go, and it's just so good. But it also makes you think about worldly things, about how in America we're so privileged compared to other countries out there who are war-torn and they're not as privileged as we are, and we take that for granted. So it definitely makes you think about that. But I'm giving this one 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. I can't wait to read more from TJ Newman because I know she also has another plane thriller, I think. This was just so good, and I highly, highly recommend it. So, book 3 of Summerween done, and when I get back from church, my goal is to read my 100 pages of Cujo, and then hopefully if I get through that quickly, then I will start my next book. So, the spookiest thing just happened. Perfect timing for Summerween, and that is that our AC went out in our house. We live in South Texas. It is the middle of summer. We have Hurricane Beryl coming right towards us. Luckily, we're a little more inland, so the hurricane shouldn't be too much of a problem. The heat is the biggest problem right now. Honestly, the hurricane might actually cool it down because right now it is currently 101 degrees, so it could definitely be a lot hotter. A few weeks ago, it got up to 117, so I guess 101 isn't that bad. But it is so hot, which makes it difficult to read. Like, I don't know about you, but if I am overheated, I like don't want to do anything but lay there dead. So we have one room in our house that is my brother's old room, so nobody currently lives in there, and it has its own personal AC, so I'm probably just gonna go hunker down in there and try to read. I have been reading at Cujo, and I'm on page like 160, so I have about 40 pages left of this to hit my 100 pages for the day, and then I'll probably pick up another book. But I'm gonna go sit in that cooler room, and if I need to, I'll go sit in my car with the AC on. The thing is, also, not only am I in South Texas, I'm in a small town, so we don't have like a big coffee shop or anything that we can go to, so we're just trying to survive. Our AC guy did tell us that he's going to be here first thing in the morning, so hopefully it's an easy fix. We did have a storm last night and our power went out, so we're wondering if it kind of like did something to the AC as well. But at this point, I'm hoping we get another storm coming, like from the hurricane, because I know it'll cool things off, but right now it's middle of the day, so hot, and I just want to read for this readathon, but the AC, the world is just trying to take us down right now. It is just getting more and more stifling in my house. My dog Remus had a seizure because of how overheated he got. He frequently gets seizures, so that's what I was worried about. He is okay. It wasn't a horrible one, but that's how hot it is right now. But I did manage to finish my 100 pages of Cujo for today, so now I'm 200 pages through, so I feel like my thoughts are pretty solidified, and this is one of Stephen King's boring books. I can confidently say that now. It took so long for anyone to actually die. Like, the whole time I was like, okay, where's the rabidness happening? It just took way too long, and we were finding out literally every single person in this town's backstory, which sometimes can be interesting, and then sometimes I'm like, I don't care about the neighbor down the street, where's the rabid dog? So it just took way too long, and every time we get a kill, it just takes way too long for the next one to happen as well. But 200 pages in, and I will continue my 100 pages for the day, which means I need to decide what book I'm going to pick up in the meantime. And I've decided to go with Home is Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose. This is one of my favorite covers I've ever seen. I absolutely love it. And this one is pretty short as well. I think it is under 300 pages. It's actually under 250 pages, I think, so it's pretty short. Hopefully that means it reads quickly. Like I've said, I've read one from her and I flew through it, so I'm hoping this one is no different. I feel like I haven't heard the best things, but I've also heard completely mixed things about her books in general. In fact, the book that I loved, everybody hated, and it was the You Shouldn't Have Come Here one. I love that one, and everybody hated it. So I'm hoping I love this one as well, and it's just stunning. And I'm pretty sure it's like a cursed film type of situation maybe, or like a found footage type of thing, like a snuff film. That's what they're called, right? And I love things about snuff films. That sounds so demented. I'm not sure what this is about, if that's what it is or not, but of course when I start reading it I will let you know exactly what it's about. Hold on. Hello? I did not realize the naked cover looked like this. Oh my gosh, she's even more gorgeous than I thought. Good morning. It is now day 4 of Summerween. We are officially halfway through this readathon, and good news, our AC has now been fixed. Bad news, I did not sleep at all last night because of how hot it was, so I definitely see a nap in my future. So I refuse to put on makeup today because I'm just gonna take it easy. But yesterday I managed to read 286 pages total, and I did start Home is Where the Bodies Are, and I got 46 pages in. I have since read a little bit more this morning, and now I am 100 pages in. So let me give you a synopsis. We follow 3 different siblings, and they're all very, very different, and they're having to come home because their mom has just passed away. And so of course, they're having to go through all of her house and all of her belongings, and also their dad disappeared 7 years ago. So there's already a little bit of mystery with this family, and as they are going through their mother's belongings, they see some old VHS home videotapes, and they decide to sit down and watch a few. And they watch one from the summer of 1999. It just seems like a typical thing, and then the tape keeps rolling, and they see their parents with a dead body of a little girl who went missing decades ago. So of course, mystery. They're like, what is mom and dad doing with this little girl? What did dad do to her? And how did they keep it a secret all these years? And was it an accident? Did they actually kill her? Are they monsters? What's going on? So I'm definitely really intrigued. The mystery here is really interesting because it's like nobody knows what's going on, and now mom is dead, dad has disappeared, so are we ever going to find out answers? I'm really hoping we do. I would say this one isn't as fast-paced as the other Geneva Rose I've read, but I am still really intrigued, and I don't know where things are going. I was hesitant because the siblings in here aren't my favorite. It kind of reminds me of How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix, and the reason I disliked that book was because the sibling relationship was so toxic. The sibling relationships in here isn't the healthiest, but it is also not as toxic as How to Sell a Haunted House, which is really great because I don't like reading about bad sibling relationships. That's not something I can relate to. Me and my siblings are all like best friends. So this one is interesting. They're all very different, and it's also set in like a very, very small town. So I don't know how this is going to play out. I'm hoping we get answers soon. And I'm also curious if we're going to find out more about why the dad disappeared and where he's been, but then the murder as well. But yeah, 100 pages in. This book is only 246 pages, so it's not very long at all. So I'm wondering if it's gonna like start getting like crazy and go off the rails from here, but we'll see. I'm hoping to finish this one today, and then once I finish it, I will continue reading Cujo. But so far so good with this one. I don't think it's gonna be better than the last one I read from her, but I'm still enjoying it. Okay, I have 100 pages left of this book, and I'm just checking in real quick to tell you, I think I know what's gonna happen. I think I have it figured out, and I wanted to check in. I'm not going to tell you anything, but at the end, I will tell you if I'm right. But I'm not going to hint at anything, but I think I know. I think it's so obvious now. It's already day number 5 of Summerween. I can't believe how quickly this is going by. I didn't update you anymore yesterday because I did indeed take that nap, but I did finish Home is Where the Bodies Are yesterday, and all I'm going to say about the reveal is I was right. Last I updated you, I thought I knew, and I was completely and 100% correct. That's all I'm going to say on that topic. Overall, this book, I really don't think it did anything new and revolutionary. It honestly felt very familiar to me, and it felt like something I had read before, so nothing was new or surprising. I also really don't love broken sibling relationships. That's just not the type of sibling relationship I want to read about. I can't relate to it, and it just frustrates me to no end. So I still enjoyed this one. I still thought it was a good time, and I'm not going to dissuade you from reading it. So I gave it 3 stars. I'm still going to keep it because this is like my favorite cover of all time, but nothing new, and I'm probably going to forget about it in the next few weeks, honestly. But still glad I read it. Moving on to Cujo, I did not read my 100 pages yesterday because I napped instead and then went to bed early, but I did manage to read 53 more pages of it. So this morning I was on page 253. I have since read more. Now I'm on page 290. So when I'm on my stationary bike, I like to read, and I usually do the stationary for like 30 to 40 minutes. So I get some good reading in during that time, but it's okay that I didn't hit 100 pages yesterday in this book because my goal for today is to finish Cujo. And this has 420 pages, so I have like, math is hard, like 130 pages left or something. So right now I'm watching the Tour de France. We are on stage 10. We are halfway through the tour. So I'm gonna sit down, watch the tour, and finish Cujo, and then I will come back to you with my final thoughts. And I can tell you right now, I'm just ready for this one to be done. It's definitely not going to be my top 10 Stephen King maybe. It's about 11:40 a.m. and I just finished Cujo, and I think I'm gonna settle on a 3 stars for this one. And honestly, I was gonna give it 2, but there's something about Stephen King's endings that always get me, and they just work so well for me, which is funny because he's notorious for having bad endings, but I always find myself loving his endings, and they often bump up his books a whole nother star for me just because of how well they're done and how well everything wraps up. I will say all of his rambling, I understand why he does it because it all comes together in the end, but that still doesn't make me care about the neighbor down the street. I'm not kidding, at one point in here, we had 2 pages of a man talking about his farting. Like, Stephen, why? Also, the fact that this book didn't have any chapters at all, it was just 420 pages of, like, 1 chapter. There's no chapters in here, and all of the rambling, I did find myself getting bored and it dragging, but all of the scenes with Cujo in it were excellent, so good, so gory and gruesome, and this one is pretty dark as far as most of his books go that I've read so far. This one definitely does have a darker ending, so I am settling on 3 stars for this one. I am glad to be done with my next Stephen King. That way I can just keep moving on down the line. So I've decided the next book I'm going to pick up is Murder Road by Simone St. James, and this one looks chunkier, but it's only like 358 pages, so it's shorter than Cujo, and I'm hoping it reads fast like her last book for me did. This is also the most beautiful book I own. It's giving like comic book vibes, and I absolutely love it, and there's the sprayed edges, and the naked hardcover itself is one of my favorite things ever. Like, look how cute. It's just completely pink, and it has all these illustrations, like a little map on it. You wouldn't think that this is going to be like some dark, like thriller mystery type book. It looks like a cute little cozy little thing, but no. But I absolutely love this, and I'm hoping that it's just as stunning inside, and then I really like the story. So I'll probably eat lunch. I might watch a little bit of TV. I've been watching Summer Baking Championship, so I might watch some of that, let Cujo marinate for a little bit, and then I'll start this later today, and we'll see how far I get into it. I'm now 100 pages into Murder Road, and this is reading so quickly, like I predicted and like I was hoping. So we follow a man named Eddie and his wife April, and they were literally married 2 days ago. And they are heading to their honeymoon, and it is late one night. They are lost on the way to this resort they're staying at, and alongside the road there is a young girl walking, and she doesn't look well, so they stop, pull up alongside her, and ask if she needs a ride. She gets in the car. They are driving to take her to the next town when they realize she has blood all over her. When they get her to the hospital, the girl ends up dying from these stab wounds, and now Eddie and April are the #1 suspects of her murder. So this also takes place in the 90s, which is a lot of fun. I love books set in that time period. I grew up during that time period, so it's very nostalgic for me. This book also has kind of an urban legend set over that road where this girl was found. It's called Atticus Line, and lots of murders happen on this road. So far, 100 pages in, this is reminding me so much of the very first episode of Supernatural. If you've seen it, then you know the vibes that are going on here, and this is what I'm feeling right now. And so I feel like with Simone St. James, you also never know if it is truly like a ghost thing or if it is a human thing, and I'm wondering if this book is going in the same way because we've already been introduced to this urban legend, and I feel like that aspect works so much better with this storyline than in the book of Cold Cases. But I am really liking this so far. The writing on the pages is quite big. I can't remember if I told you that already. So it's reading very, very quickly. It's so interesting, so intriguing. One thing that I hate though is when people are falsely accused, and obviously Eddie and April are being falsely accused, but for some reason this is working right now because Eddie and April are interesting characters. There is some interesting things going on with April. You know that she has had a really rough life, but you don't know the exact details of it. So as the story is going on, we are learning more and more about them, and they're very interesting. So I can't wait to find out more about them, more about these murders that have happened, and who actually murdered this girl that they picked up. So far, so good. I am reading it really fast. I don't know how much more I'll read today, but I think I'm really gonna love this one. Okay, I am 180 pages in, which is halfway through Murder Road, and I just had to update you to tell you that I am loving it. I am reading it so fast, I cannot put it down. Things are going unhinged, off the rails, and I literally can't tell you anything else about this book, but I just had to let you know halfway in, I'm really loving it. So hopefully the second half is just as good. It's day 6 of Summerween, and I have 50 pages left of Murder Road. I 100% could have finished this yesterday, but unfortunately for me, I go to bed really early. So when 9 p.m. rolled around, I was like, I'm getting up to run in the morning, so I'm going to bed. So 50 pages left. I am really, really loving it. I read over like 400 pages yesterday because I finished Cujo, and then I read most of this book, and it's one of the bigger ones, and I'm just really loving it. It is so thrilling and fast-paced. Like, I need to know what happens next, and I really do enjoy our characters and getting to know their background because they have been through some stuff. But this town, Cold Lake Falls, is really fascinating and spooky and creepy, and I'm just really enjoying it. So I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna read the last 50 pages of this, and then I will come back to you and tell you my final thoughts. I have officially finished Murder Road, and I am giving this 5 stars. Now, I can't really add on to too much of what I've already said because I don't want to get into any kind of spoilers whatsoever, but just know that this is incredibly fast-paced, a little bit spooky. The characters feel very dimensional, and you get to know them over time and get to see their secrets, and it's really interesting. I really enjoyed the characters. I loved the setting of Cold Lake Falls. So yes, 5 stars. This is my new favorite Simone St. James, and I'm so excited that I loved it. And this was actually such a great readathon pick. I wasn't sure if it would be because it is over 350 pages, but it is perfect for a readathon. So that means I am moving on to my 7th book of the readathon, which is A Faint Cold Fear by Karen Slaughter. I think I said in the intro, this is book 3 in the Grant County series, and this is a very dark detective series. It is gritty, gory, gruesome, and has a ton of trigger warnings, so if you have any sort of triggers, definitely check them before you go into this. But this one, although it looks smaller, is also like 300 something pages. I can't remember exact, but it's over 300 pages. But the other books in this series that I've read so far read very quickly as well, and now I have 2 days to finish this book, so I feel like we're doing really, really good. And as I get into it, I will tell you specifically what this book is about. I know that we do follow Sarah, who is the town doctor, and her ex-husband, I believe his name is Jeffrey. He is a detective, and they actually have to work together because not only is she the town doctor, she is also the coroner because it's a very, very small town. So anytime there's a murder case, they have to work together. And I think throughout the series, their relationship slowly starts like reconnecting, which is not my favorite thing because Jeffrey is kind of trash. But the cases they solve are really interesting, and I think each book deals with a different case. However, I'm not sure because the second book ended, like, the case was open. It's not a closed case, and so I need to know what happens, but reading the synopsis of this dust jacket, it seems like it's a different case. So we'll see once I get into it. Checking in at the end of day 6 about A Faint Cold Fear, and I am struggling with this book. I only read 130 pages of this today because I am just so bored. This 3rd book is so frustrating and annoying. So the case that Sarah and Jeffrey are investigating are these murders or potential unaliving themselves on college campuses. So these kids seem to be unaliving themselves, but they don't believe that's what's happening. Something suspicious, something is going on. And I'm just so bored with what's going on. Compared to the first 2 books, this one is so slow. There's not a whole lot of action going on, not a whole lot of intrigue, and I am so annoyed by every single character in this book. In the 2nd book, there was a character named Lena who was on the police force, and I was getting so annoyed with her. And again, in this 3rd book, we're seeing more of her, and I just don't want to see her anymore. But then literally every other character is also annoying me, so I'm just really struggling with this one. So this one has 320 pages. I'm 130 pages in, which means tomorrow on day 7, I have 190 pages to read, which I can totally do. I just need to sit down and like push through it and hope that it gets interesting in the second half, because right now it is So boring. Not a great one to end on, but we're gonna get through it. And I'm just kind of disappointed because the first book in the series was 5 stars. I'm pretty sure the second book was 4 stars for me. I started to get annoyed, and now this third book is so boring and so annoying. I do like how dark everything is. Like, Karen Slaughter really describes everything in a really gory way, which I enjoy, but still, bored, not enjoying it. Today I also watched a mini docu-series type thing called 6 Schizophrenic Brothers on Max. If you haven't heard about this one, it's like a 4-part series about this family who have 12 kids, and 6 of them were diagnosed with schizophrenia. So it's like this psychology phenom, like mystery, and they're hoping that when they study this family, they'll be able to hopefully find a cure or a reason why schizophrenia even happens. But it's so fascinating, and it's also so heartbreaking and so sad. And they have most of the siblings on this docuseries speaking, and you even get to see some of the brothers that have schizophrenia as well. And this mental illness is just so terrifying to me. So I have a degree in psychology, and when I was in college and I first started researching schizophrenia in my classes, and I found out that you're most likely to be diagnosed in your 20s with it, I was petrified. I convinced myself in college that I was gonna get schizophrenia, so I remember like waking up every day just like terrified of it. I'm obviously like past that and thankfully didn't get it. I have other things to deal with, but that is not one of them. That is something that always terrified me, so watching this, I'm just like, that poor family. But I definitely recommend it. I enjoyed it. Hopefully tomorrow I start enjoying this as well, but I'm gonna call it quits on day 6. I am tired, I'm getting a headache, and I'm bored with my book. So we're gonna pick it up tomorrow on day 7. Luckily, I was a little bit ahead, so all I have to read is 190 pages, and I will hit my 7 books in 7 days challenge that I set for myself. So I will see you tomorrow on day 7. It's officially day 7 of Summerween, which means it is the last day of this readathon. And as you know, yesterday I started A Faint Cold Fear. And I hate this so much. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I have 100 pages left. And honestly, if this wasn't my 7th book in 7 days, I would DNF it any other time. But I'm like, okay, this is my last book to complete the challenge, and I'm gonna do it. And it's just so sad because I loved the beginning of the series so much. And I'm hoping this 3rd book is just a dud, and I'm going to continue at some point and hope it gets better. But this one is just so bad. Everyone is so annoying. There are so many characters that I would love to see be killed off, but I just don't think that's gonna happen. And there are a lot of slurs in this book. Like, think of a slur and it's in this book. Any type of slur, it's in this book. Whether it's about race, religion, sexuality, any of that is in here. And I'm just like, we get it. These people are racist. Why do you have to keep saying these words over and over and over and over again? So a lot of the crimes in here are also like racial hate crime type things, and I'm just like it just gives me the ick. You know, the way all these slurs are in here, I like don't want to read that. I'm totally fine with all the brutal crimes, but then when you put slurs in there, that's just not something I want to read. Anyway, I hate this, obviously. I have 100 pages left. I'm going to finish it, and then I will come back to you when it's done, and I will be so happy when it's over. I finished this book. I'm giving it 1 star. If I could give it 0, I would, but I'm not going to talk about that book anymore. But that was my 7th book for Summerween. I have done 7 books in 7 days. I read a total of 2,147 pages, and actually it's about like 1:20 p.m. right now, so I still have half a day, but I'm gonna be satisfied with my reading right now, and I actually need to edit this video because I'm gonna post it tomorrow. So I'm gonna spend the rest of the day just editing this. It shouldn't take me too long, but let's go ahead and wrap up what I read for this week. Alright, here's all 7 books that I read this week, if you have forgotten. My Sister the Serial Killer, 2 stars. The Locked Door, 4 stars. Really excited to read more of Friedrich McFadden. Falling, 5 stars. This was probably my favorite book of the week. I absolutely loved it. Home is Where the Bodies Are, I gave it 3 stars. It was okay. Cujo, I also gave 3 stars. And then Murder Road, another 5 star. And then this one up here, 1 star. But 2 5-star books this week. I'm very, very pleased. Let me know if you participated in Summerween. I would love to know. I'm really happy that I got 7 more books off of my physical TBR. But that is it for this video. I am so sad to see Summerween go. Until next time, if you've made it this far in the video, go ahead and leave the little ghost emoji. But that is it. Thank you so much for watching. As always, all my social media links will be down below. And I will see you next time. Bye!